LeBron is sending out, he was partying during 4th of July. He's sending out more of these messages. All right, go ahead. Tell me about what this was, because everybody kept sending me a picture of, who's that? Allie Clifton, who used to be here. And she was in a Cavs jersey. And who was the kid sitting next to her? There was some guy sitting next to her also in I imagine it was a LeBron jersey, a Cavs jersey. And this was local on one of the lakes. Where was this at? This is from LeBron's account?
Yeah, well, it was not only that. He apparently has been working out really all week at the Cavs practice facility, which I got to be honest, I didn't even know that was legal. Now, he said he took to Twitter to say, come on, guys, you're wasting your time. I do this every year.
Okay.
I'm like, I feel like we would have seen those pictures every year. No,
you don't. You don't post them. You don't do that every year. You don't post welcome home hats and you're playing golf at Portage Lakes. You don't post that you're on the Portage Lakes or wherever the hell you were with people who used to work for the Cavs who now work the Lakers television spectrum over there in Los Angeles. You don't post those pictures every single year. At least that because how I know you don't is because people would try to make it a big deal every single year. Every single year. He's already thinking about coming home. He's already thinking about Cleveland. So you can't say you do that every year. He might work out in Cleveland every year. I'll grant him that. But the other stuff, don't tell me you're not trying to get my attention. And I'm talking me being the fans' attention, everybody's attention. Don't tell me you ain't trying to get our attention and get us to talk about you. That's the most LeBron move I've ever seen.
So is he trying to get us to talk about him, or is he trying to get the Lakers' attention?
I think he's trying to get everyone. The Lakers have their own decisions. I mean, they could try to trade him if they wanted to, or they can say, you signed in for $52.6 million. Damn it, you're going to play for $52.6 million. I think he's trying to get the conversation going, and maybe he's trying to get some conversation started about getting a trade, or at least making the Lakers appreciate him a little bit more. If Rich Paul feels that they don't have if they don't feel that they have the want for right now and the want to compete right now and that they're only building for the future. Well, obviously LeBron, there's not very much of a future. So he'd like to start that conversation, but he ain't posting stuff in Maverick stuff or Heat stuff or anything else. He's posting stuff in Cleveland stuff because I think that's the only place he would ever want to go back to. I do believe he is keenly aware. I know he's mentioned the Kevin Durant situation before. I do believe he's keenly aware of legacy. And how if you add just another jersey on top of that, a different jersey, it does come off very Charles Barkley, Karl Malone at the end of your career, holding on for dear life. He played with one of those guys holding on for dear life, and Shaquille O'Neal, for crying out loud. I think he's very aware of that. I think there's two places he'd be willing to play. Los Angeles, and I don't think he's very thrilled with Los Angeles, and in Cleveland. And I think he just wants people to have that conversation just to see if there is any grease on the rail that would get something like that machine moving again. I do believe it wholeheartedly. I think that he knows he's at the twilight of his career and maybe he's ready to come home a third time. Well, you don't just post this stuff out of nowhere. I don't care.
This has got to be such a bizarre scenario for somebody who has had all the leverage, not only over his cities, his teams, but the entire NBA. And this is the first time he doesn't really have that. He is over there. That team is built around another guy and not him. Like the Lakers are talking about the future revolving around Luka. They are not talking about the future revolving around LeBron. And they didn't have a new contract for him. He only could pick up his option on this year. Yes. He's going to make like 50-some million. And so that was it. He's out of options, really, outside of making things uncomfortable, which, of course, he's been able to do throughout his entire career. That's about the only lever he has to pull and to try to see how comfortable the Lakers are with any of that. So this has got to be weird for LeBron, who still was amazing last year. Second team All-NBA. I said he was easily one of the top 10 players in the league last year. Well, he was durable. He was there, game in and game out. Now, maybe some load management on the defensive side, certainly. You can understand that at this stage of his career.
But I don't think there's a doubt about that he's trying to get this conversation started with everybody. And in so many ways, if I was him, I'd have to say in so many ways, rightfully so, because no one wants to admit that it's almost over. They can see it, but they don't want to admit it, and everybody wants to be wanted. And I know everybody knows for a fact that he's a guy who loves being wanted. Donovan's calling out his teammates he's calling out one in particular on the Taylor Rooks podcast, and I think you guys are going to love it. Hit it. One moment.
Kenny came up to me and was like, hey, try to push Evan Mobley, and even more so next year. Push Ev, push Ev, push Ev. Ev has the potential, man, and he's continuing to take that rise. And I'm glad he said it. Like, they asked who the next face of the league was in 5 years, and he said himself and Wemby. I love that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now my push to Ev is I need 20 shots. But he has to go and say that. Like, give me the ball. You know, I think for us to be great, and we've said it all year, he has to continue to take a step. So I tell him, like, nah, we need more. Demand it. If I don't pass you the ball, get on my ass.
Yeah.
If DG don't get the ball, get on his ass. If Ty don't get it to you, get on his ass. And be okay with that. I think that's something that he's continuing, and he's ready for it. I have no doubt. I talked to him this summer. He's ready for it. He's excited for it. But, you know, when you're quiet like the way he is, sometimes you got to get out of body a little bit more. I think that's the growth.
I've said this to you before. This is why I think that there's a silver lining on Darius Garland's injury. I think naturally you're going to have to throw the ball inside more to Evan Mobley. And by the time that Darius comes back, like, Darius isn't going to miss most of the year, half the year. I think it's going to be about a month of the season. But by the time Darius comes back, like, hey, we've worked on this through training camp. We've worked on this now through the first month of the season. This is where we have to go. This is what has to be done for us to be successful in April, like we haven't been over these last 3 years. It's time for him to mature, and it's time for us to change the way we play a bit, and it's got to start with Evan Mobley. I'm glad that Donovan's saying the quiet part that we've all been screaming here for a while, but somebody of actual consequence had to say it, and Donovan is saying it.
But here's my question. Will there be enough shots to go around with the two guards taking the shots that they do? I mean, you just came off a playoff series in which anybody with eyes could see Darius was struggling. I think it was both physical and mental, the toll that injury had played on him by the end of the series. He had fought it out to play in that series after getting called out by so many, and yet still took more shots in that elimination game than Evan Mobley. The guy that I did not see in that series, I did not see one Pacer who was capable of defending him one-on-one. So, yeah, should Evan call for the ball more? Absolutely. Is he going to get the ball more? I don't know. You got two guards that want to let it fly from 28 feet.
Exactly. You have two guards that I think will turn isolationists because they don't necessarily trust everybody else. And I think that's been a part of the problem with both of those guys in the backcourt. Not just their size, but with that type of mentality. This is where Evan's going to have to stand there and call for it the way that Donovan says. He's going to have to say, you wanted me to do this. Now I'm doing it. Give me the damn ball. He's going to have to do that, or we're going to have these problems there in the future. Because as of right now, hey, we could talk about LeBron James to death, and in so many ways we have already as a station. I mean, I can bring up LeBron, you can bring up LeBron, and the changes that will have to be made. And obviously, if they brought in LeBron, it wouldn't include Donovan. Darius Garland would no longer be with the team, and probably Jared Allen wouldn't be either. Okay, but as of right now, the most realistic scenario is that they all come back. And if they all come back, then something serious is going to have to change. You've been calling for Evan to take a step up. I think to a certain degree I have as well. If it's going to change for the better, if this is what they are, this is their shot. Because I think at the end of next year, if they don't get past the second round next year, that I think a lot of people are just going to give up on this version of the Cavs. And by that time, you're going to go, is Evan ever going to take that step? Is he ever going to be that guy? Or are they not willing to push him? Is he not willing to push himself to be that guy? So this is a critical year for Evan. It's a critical year for the Cleveland Cavaliers and what they're trying to do. Because as of right now, the most realistic scenario is that they all come back. So you guys are going to have to figure it out on the floor together like you haven't been able to do over the last 3 seasons.
I will add, it's going to be huge for Evan Mobley to take that next step again. We're always talking about steps, and we're debating whether they are leaps or not. Either way, in the end, it has to be so much better because what do we know? What is the one pattern that has been established with this Cavs team come playoffs? Well, one, Donovan Mitchell, he puts the entire team on his back, and then he is out of steam in the second round.
Yeah.
Like halfway through the second round. Guys, to win a championship or to even play for one, you got to play for another two series after the one that they keep getting eliminated in. So that's the first thing. The second thing is whether it's injuries, whether it is just bad luck, the way the officiating is and the way they allow physicality come postseason, Darius Garland is a shell of who he is in the regular season. He is a shell of that player come postseason.
Well, you think about guys
so
even
they need Evan to step up.
And even with guys being gassed, I mean, you're playing a Miami Heat team that's really disinterested and he's still tired. So, yes, somebody else is going to have to step up. And, yeah, it's right now it's their whole team. It's the entire franchise of what they have because I don't think that they can really make those changes. As much as we can talk about LeBron, I still don't find it to be very realistic. I think LeBron wants it to be realistic in some way because I think he wants something exciting, something that helps his legacy for whatever that is at the end of his career, to not feel like he's just going through the motions and taking people's little trinkets as he starts his retirement. I think he wants to play for something, but in all reality, it's not going to include him. I can't just get some LeBron bailout again or expect one again. So it's got to be these guys, and it's going to have to be, if anybody's bailing you out, it's Evan Mobley, who's as quiet as a church mouse.